are in a different venue for this episode, but that's for a very special and exciting reason. I am so happy and honored to be launching the new youth edition of Mountain Climbers. And for this interview, I am down here crashing the youth service at Rubyville Community Church, and I'm here chatting with the newly elected youth officers, and they're going to share tonight their vision of what they want to see happen and what they want to see God to do throughout this year, and sharing and telling what it's like to live as a teenager this day and age. So, guys, thank you so much for being my first guest on this new spinoff of Mountain Climbers. I cannot wait to hear what you guys have to say, but first things first, let's get the introductions out of the way. I want you to tell your name, your age, your officer position, and if this is your first time being a youth officer. So we'll start with you.
Hi, I'm Jacob LeBrun. I'm 17 and I'm the youth vice president, and this is not my first year being an officer.
How many years?
This is my fourth year being an officer.
Okay.
I'm Sam Wheeling. I'm 17. I'm the youth president, and this is my second year being a youth officer.
All right.
I'm Hannah Arthur. I'm 16. I am the secretary, and it's my first year.
I'm McKenna Dunham. I'm 15, and I'm the communications officer. It's my first year.
All right. Awesome. So, Hannah McKenna, this is your first year. So, tell me what it means to you guys to be elected by your peers in here.
Well, it's first off, like, it's a really big responsibility because when you go into it, you're not really thinking about what you're representing.
Mhm.
Of course, you're representing your youth group, but you're also representing your church, and that's huge on you.
I think it's just more than having a title because people are looking up to you and using you as a role model now.
Awesome. Okay, so McKenna, if I understand correctly, your story of becoming an elected officer is a pretty cool God moment. Would you care to elaborate on that?
I have been praying for a couple months about if God wanted me here, and I felt like He really did. And the elections, it was just like a really big deal to me. I really felt like He wanted me there.
Now, Sam, you kind of had a part in this, so I want to hear your side of it. What prompted you to nominate McKenna after other people had been nominated for her position?
Well, I'd always kind of saw her in the youth as like a quiet leader for a while there. Was it 1 or 2 years ago that you did the lesson on bullying?
I feel like it's two.
It would have been 2 years ago. I think it was on Ryan's birthday there that he called her out to do a lesson. And I remember that it was really good. And just from that point on, I kind of looked at her as a silent leader there.
Mhm.
And then once that position, everyone kind of died down while we were nominating people, I kind of just threw in my, I don't know how I would say it, my suggestion of McKenna, really.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So, what I'm hearing from you guys is prayer is really important, and you put a lot of prayer into these elections. So, how important do you think prayer is to put behind these leadership positions?
It's a big part of everything in this, because when you're going into it, you got to think you are going to be representing a youth of almost 60 kids in here,
Mhm.
and putting that prayer to choose the right person to do it is insanely important.
Yeah.
Especially because it's not just representing this youth. It's whenever you're going out into school, everyone there knows it too.
Yeah.
And I've had people come up to me, I don't know if you guys had too, but I know I've had people come up and congratulate me that don't even go to Rubyville.
Oh, that's awesome.
And it's crazy to think that it just reaches that far out.
That's cool. Yeah, it often reaches farther out than you can ever
Yeah.
dream, and that's a really cool thing to think about. So, as a unit and a leadership team, what's your vision for the youth group this year? Are there any barriers or changes that you feel need to be made so the youth will grow? And how are you going to be intentional in making those changes?
Well, we're really focusing on. There's three main parts that we're focusing on, and growth would be the first one. Over the last year or so, we've experienced a lot of growth in our youth, and we want to continue to see it grow. Also, unity. this year there's a big gap in between the older kids and the younger kids, and we want to see them unite and just grow stronger in the Lord. And the closer they grow with each other, the closer they'll get to God. And so we're working on creative ways to kind of get them to talk to each other and unite.
I think that's awesome because the younger kids look up to you guys, and you were once in their position. So the fact that that's kind of one of the things you want to do, I think, is amazing. And when they're your age, they're going to have your example and do the same thing when they're in your position. So I think that's great. So for this next question, I want you to be real, raw, do not hold back. How tough is it to be a teenager this day and age?
I mean, honestly, it's incredibly tough.
Yep.
The amount of temptations and different things that the devil will throw at us, it's incredible how many tools he's gathered over these 2,000 years that Jesus has gone back. But honestly, I think it's so rewarding, though, making it through it in the end, because it's just worth every mile of the trip, honestly.
You know, there's being a Christian in this day. It's very challenging. Many things you go through, you face, but having God on your side, you know, whenever you go through things, whenever you experience peer pressure, kids that face this that don't have God, I don't know how they feel going through the same thing. You know, having God on your side, it's amazing. It's difficult to be a teen this day, but it's very rewarding to have God by your side.
So, thinking about the answer that you just gave me, I want each of you to answer this next question. So, you've been looking at me the whole time, but for this answer, I want you to look at your peers in here and at the camera, and I want you to give them an encouraging message, telling them how they can fight and climb and have mountaintop victory. So, we'll start with you, Jacob.
Well, I think the best thing to show you to be best equipped for the world is from the Bible. The first one's in Matthew chapter 5 and verse 14. It says, "You are the light of the world, a city that is set on a hill that cannot be hid. Neither do men light a candle and put it under a bushel, but on a candlestick, and it giveth light unto all that are in the house. Let your light so shine before men that they may see your good works and glorify your Father in heaven." So I think that from that verse, the best thing to do is to make sure we're showing our faith. We're not hiding it. We're showing people publicly what God has done and the faith that we have. I think that's very important. And not only should we not be afraid to show it, but two, I think that in Romans chapter 2, chapter 12, it says, "And be ye not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind, that ye may prove what is good, perfect, and acceptable, the will of God." I think that, being different than the world is the biggest thing that we need to do. I think that, whenever we are tempted, whenever we face peer pressure, we need to show others that we are different and shine our lights for Christ.
All right, your turn, Sam.
Well, honestly, kind of building off what he said, we're going to be different in this world. The Bible says that we're a peculiar people, and to this world, we're different. But it's not a bad thing to be different, especially when it's for the right cause, which we're trying to push forward. And I guess just putting everything that we have into it, really, in the end, it really just pays off. Even though we're only, how old, all of us, we're only in high school still. I know it's just so rewarding just to know that God is with us this entire time. And although we do face different trials and stuff throughout life, it's just really reassuring to know that God's going to be with us each step of the way.
Yeah, for sure. Hannah?
Like Sam said earlier, we're going to be tried and tested all the time. And especially as teenagers, we're going to be tested hard. And we've got more outlets than ever now. I mean, we've got our phone, we've got social media. We're going to be attacked on all sides. So it's going to be extremely hard, but you just need to seek God in prayer, and you need to read your Bible and stick to that, because I know from past experiences, if you don't stick to what you were raised on and you don't stick to the word, you're going to drift real far real quick, and it's going to get hard. And sticking to the word and sticking to praying every day, and not just the short little prayers like, thank you God for this day, please let it be a good one, amen. You need to have depth to your prayers and know what you're asking for, and you need to be specific. And when doing that, you're going to grow and you're going to be stronger. And when the devil attacks, you're going to know how to fight back, and you won't land flat on your face. So sticking to God, sticking to his word, and growing close with him will help you out through that.
Great advice. McKenna?
I feel like how Hannah said, the devil always attacks us. Oftentimes he uses our friends and at school, because they don't always want what's best for you. And it's really hard to know who's real and who's not.
Yeah.
And you can always turn to anybody in this youth group, or even your parents.
Yeah.
And usually you don't want to admit that they're right, but they are. And
that doesn't matter how old you are. You never want to admit.
And they will help you, and they know it's wrong if you just explain it to them.
Those are all great answers. Thank you for that. So we began with Hannah and McKenna sharing how they felt about being newly elected, but we're going to end with our senior youth officers here, okay? So Sam and Jacob, this is it for you. This is your last year to be a youth officer, and for me, I can't believe that. It makes me feel so old, because I remember when you guys were just yay high, and yes, I feel very old. But anyway, so you've been coming here since you were 12, and I'm sure that there's been times you just wanted to give up when things have gotten hard, because, like we said, we live in a sinful world, and it's going to get hard. But you guys haven't, and that's why you guys are in these positions today. So tell me, has it been worth it?
Well, to say it's been worth it's almost an understatement. Actually, tomorrow will be 3 years that my grandpa's been in heaven. And, that's hard. That's extremely hard. And this, believe it or not, this position helped me get through that. The Bible, it says, in the world you shall have tribulation. It makes it very, very clear that life's not going to be perfect. There's going to be times that you feel like giving up. But to know that I have a group of kids that I have to show them what faith is. I have to show them how to live faith. That kept my head high, and I knew that I had to keep myself up. I had to keep going. I had to push through it, and it's been worth every time I've been peer pressured and said no.
Yeah.
It's been worth every time. Everything. It's definitely been worth it.
Awesome. Sam?
Honestly, he knocked it out of the park there with that one. Just going back on whenever I first came into youth, I always looked up to these positions. And now being in the position that I am, it's amazing, honestly.
Yep.
It's so great. And this position really keeps you accountable. Because when you do anything, really, there's always that little voice in the back of your mind that's saying, hey, you got an entire youth group back at Rubyville that's watching you. So what are you going to do to represent them? And honestly, that can keep you on the right path throughout the entire thing. And although it does get hard, and sometimes you don't want to really keep pushing forward, if it's not for you, then I always think, at least do it for them. Because they put you in this position, I need to be giving it my all. And, I'm a sucker for Mike Blanton and them. And one of my favorite songs that they do, my favorite verse is, well, I've been over mountains, and I walked through the valleys, and of troubles I've had my fill, but of heaven eternal, at the end of my journey, it'll be worth every mile of the trip. And I just really just relate to that.
That's awesome. And I hope that, especially the younger teens, take what you guys have said to heart just to keep going no matter what through every season of life as they grow old. And really, you all have blessed me so much tonight with your words and your wisdom. I am so excited to see what God's going to do through your leadership and how this youth is going to grow because of, just the desires that God's put in your heart to lead this youth. And I know it's going to be awesome. And not even for this youth. Your words tonight are going to impact teens that you may never meet this side of heaven. Just stumbles upon this episode of Mountain Climbers. And you're going to give them hope to keep on climbing. So thank you so much. And thank you for tuning in. I hope you're as excited as I am for this new Mountain Climbers edition of the Youth Edition. And, it would not be a Mountain Climbers episode if I didn't leave you with these words. When your strength comes from the right source,